Welcome back to part 3 of an author reading of Family Bank Blueprint by Stephanie Lennon. It's me. If you haven't yet seen the first 2 parts, I will put those in the notes below so that you can see parts 1 and 2. And thank you for joining. Let's begin. The Grand Experiment. Putting the kids to work. The next step was identifying household responsibilities for each child. We decided the chickadees could be responsible for getting themselves ready for each school day. If they chose to dilly-dally and go without breakfast or making their lunch, it would be self-correcting as the child went hungry or spent their own money on school provisions. Neither would kill them while offering first-hand life lessons. The kids started brainstorming chore ideas. We slid in a few others. Some were expected throughout the week, such as feeding the pets daily or emptying the dishwasher on an as-needed basis. Other weekly activities could be done at the children's time direction, but no later than midday Sunday. Beyond the morning flurry, several other tasks fell squarely into kids' skill sets. They had already started setting the dinner table, accompanied by the privilege of deciding who got to sit next to whom. Clearing the table was much less enticing, but they engaged when asked. The desired new behavior was to go beyond stacking dishes on the counter or the sink and ensure that they made it into the dishwasher. Starting the dishwasher became a favorite job that each initially enjoyed. Once clean, the older two could empty the whole dishwasher using chairs to reach the cupboards, and the youngest could put away the silverware. As the littlest got older, she joined the rotation for fully emptying the dishwasher on her own. Initially, they were asked to tidy their rooms before bed roughly every other evening, including getting dirty laundry into the baskets turned the right side out. They carried these baskets down on laundry day and helped get the machine loaded and started. Once a week, they vacuumed their rooms as a prerequisite to collecting their weekly allowance payment. As they got older, they took on full responsibility for their own laundry, including folding and putting it away. The final expectation was that they would each engage more actively in taking care of the dog. When Mr. Toad joined the family 6 months earlier, each swore up and down that he or she would take care of him at every turn. Not surprisingly, this tapered off quickly. The kids cheerfully gave him his meals, but they had to be reminded constantly. Before installing the fence, Mr. Toad enjoyed long walks 2 to 3 times every day. After the fence gave him free rein of the yard and the weather started getting colder, walks became sporadic. The kids rotated whose turn it was to pick up the poop while walking, but left his own devices in the yard. Mr. Toad left landmines everywhere. Nobody put effort into cleaning up after him. Since they were getting new responsibilities, the final task preceding payday was each to pick up 5 poop piles and deposit them into the waste bin. In advance of payday seemed to be the moment they would be most motivated to do it. One week, the youngest decided she wasn't going to do her weekend chores. She was asked and reminded several times. Ultimately, she received no weekly allowance. It was pointed out later when the children were reviewing their ledger updates to make sure the consequences of non-participation were not lost on any of them. If it were to become a pattern, the consequences would become more impactful. But after 4 years, there have been only 2 cases where a child refused to do their household duty and forfeited their weekly stipend. An eternal school lunch debate, bring or buy. School lunches were both the initial test and the basis for setting their initial allowance amount. They love buying their lunch at school because part of it is that they love most of the food options and also because it was uncommon. We started elementary school with the intention of ensuring they have healthy options packed with love every day. It lasted for about 3.5 school years, and quite frankly, we got tired. Worse yet, the kids didn't appreciate it at all. Buy days were usually a result of either me running late and not having the time to make lunch, or husband being in charge and just giving them the nod. Upon further reflection, we had made their lunches as long as they could remember. Why not them? Check one more task to kids' wars. The new deal: make their own lunch from home using whatever was in the house, or buy their lunch with the $2.40 per meal coming from their spending money. With this in mind, we set their weekly allowance at $20. Stay with me. Hold on. Don't balk yet. Half would go straight to savings. If they chose to buy their lunch, they could buy up to 4 days a week, given that the prices at the time were $2.40. We stocked the fridge with many options for easily assembling their lunches if they wanted to. They held in control in their own hands over spending on school lunches or pocketing the cash. When husband and I were kids, lunch was cash-based. You brought your $1.10, selected your pizza slice or cheeseburger, grabbed the hottest fries available, chose between skim whole and chocolate milk, and paid the cashier at the end of the lunch counter. Lunch transactions happen a lot differently today. The kids have plastic cards, which get funded behind the scenes. Students make their lunch selections and hand their card to the cashier. Money is disassociated from the purchase at hand, not unlike any other transaction in life with the prevalence of debit and credit cards. It does, however, bypass the education of where the value originates. It also gives parents full visibility into what the student purchases and presumably eats. The children felt liberated with their new spending power. They bought extra chips and dessert. It was a free-for-all. I peeked at their tabs partway through the week and gave them grief about the extras they were buying. I knew full well they were throwing away fruits and vegetables in lieu of the junk. Noticing the girls bought cupcakes, I commented on the price. Baby girl was horrified, not realizing that they were costing her 85 cents each. At the end of the first week, little man was the only one who didn't lose money at the cafeteria. Both girls exceeded their $10 income with $1.55 for wee one and $1.60 for baby girl. These amounts came off the ledgers on Sunday. It sobered them to see how quickly the money had evaporated. Midway through week 2, each looked at it differently, though all agreed that buying lunch was awesome. 9-year-old baby girl. Mom, tell me about buying lunch. Baby girl, school lunches usually cost $2.40, and that's kind of a lot of money. You only get $20 a week. You get to spend $10 and save $10. Mom, how much did you spend this week? Baby girl, at lunch this week, so far I've spent $2.40. My goal is to spend about $4.80 a week. Mom, what's the best part about buying lunch? Baby girl, I love the food there. That's why I buy. But I know I'll use all my money if I buy every day. So I plan to buy on Wednesday and Friday. Every other Wednesday, you get French toast sticks. I love them. Friday, you get pizza. That was 9-year-old baby girl. 7-year-old little man. Mom, who paid for your lunches this week? Little man, me. Mom, how did that feel? Little man, good. The girls spent $6 more than me. Mom, so what does that mean at the end of the week? That you spent less money than them? Little man, I get $4.10. Mom, where did that $4.10 go? Little man, my spending account where I can buy stuff. Mom, what will you do differently this week? Little man, I'm not spending so I can have more money. Mom, what are you going to do with more money? Little man, buy a phone or something. He was 7. All right, 5-year-old wee one. Mom, what did you spend at lunch this week? Wee one, $2.25? Mom, no, $11. What did you earn this week? Wee one, $10. Mom, you spent more than you earned. What happens if you spend more than you earn all the time? Wee one. Mom, you run out of money. If you have $0, what do you get to buy at Target? Wee one, nothing. Mom, do you want to buy nothing at Target? Wee one, no. Mom, what will you do differently this week? Wee one, pack my lunch. Mom, did you buy or bring today? Wee one, bring. Mom, did that save you money? Wee one, yes. Mom, cool. What are you going to do tomorrow? Wee one, bring. She was 5, so the conversation was a little bit less nuanced there. After a week and a half, things were looking promising on the school lunch front. Each kid started connecting the dots between what they do and how it translates to spending power. Baby girl identified where it was worth spending her money, specifically on French toast sticks. Little man identified a path to saving money toward larger purchases. Wee one was still a bit clueless, but she made a couple of lunches the second week anyway. Putting a bow on top, neither parent spent our time assembling lunches. The kids were responsible and gained a new element of control over their daily lives. I'm going to pause here. First thing is, this was a really important item here in terms of how we set the allowance, because we wanted them to make the decision about whether or not they were going to bring or buy. We were going to spend some of that money anyway, so it truly didn't change what was coming out of our internal allocation for the kids to have spending money, but it gave them the power to decide, are you going to buy the school lunch? Which, I mean, ew, but kids like it, so whatever. So are you going to buy the school lunch, or are you going to use that same amount of money and buy something else? And as that started clicking, it truly changed their behaviors of when they were going to spend the money on the school lunches versus something else. So again, while $20 felt like a lot of money to be giving to 3 kids, some of that we were spending anyway. So it really wasn't incremental to our household budget. And that's a very important piece of how to fund this family bank idea, is think about what you're already spending on your children and then just give them more control over it. So you'll find it a lot more palatable in terms of how much money are you really spending that you weren't already spending in the first place. So just one food for thought. Second of all, if you're finding this content useful, helpful, inspirational, motivational, please consider giving a like to the video so others can find it. And better yet, also subscribe, follow me on YouTube so that you can see the next chapter when it comes out. Thank you so much. Let's continue. All right, so the first payday. At the end of week 1, the kids were anxious to get paid and go shopping. Before any money moved through the First London Bank, this was our opportunity to get some chores done while teaching responsibility. The children had been doing some work to help the family throughout the week, and there was more to do. We started out strong. So all 3 cleaned their rooms, all 3 vacuumed their rooms. Little man emptied the dishwasher, baby girl emptied the trash bins and replaced the bin liners. Little man right side out at the laundry and started a load. And then all 3 of them went out and did the dog poop duty in the yard. There was a flurry of excitement and anticipation blended with the occasional argument, like who got to vacuum first. This was punctuated with the unexpected collaboration and kindness as little man helped baby girl carry the vacuum down the stairs. After the last pile of poo was scooped and all 6 hands were thoroughly washed, it was time to move money. Each child excitedly saw their weekly allowance added to their ledgers, 10 on the left and 10 on the right. The dismay started when they had to witness then the effects of their cafeteria spending. Little man was a bit ahead of last week, but the sweets and the Cheez-Its set the girls back. There were a few but as each had a positive starting point, nobody felt any pain yet. It fostered good conversations, including the opportunity to influence the grocery list. Next was the opportunity to spend their allowance. The kids had been looking forward to this all week. We tried several approaches to slow them down, including offering a $5 bonus for spending nothing, just as an experiment, and a $2 bonus for spending the least of the 3. We attempted to pin them down on exactly what it is that they wanted to buy in order to avoid wandering the aisles of Target aimlessly. Only Wee One could crisply articulate exactly what she wanted and where it was in the store. It was looking like everyone wanted more Pokemon cards and stuff, despite our house being littered with hundreds of these little collectible cards. Husband tried every argument possible to offer different ideas. Why are you buying more of what you already have? How about something new? Do you guys even play the game anymore? And how about saving your money for like that Nintendo Switch that you guys want? The kids were determined. We headed to the store as a family. Husband set a 10-minute deadline to make their selections and get to the checkout line. Wee One found her coveted item in 12 seconds. Baby girl and little man took the full amount of time. We walked out of the store with $70 of Pokemon stuff, augmenting their allowance with pre-existing funds from their ledgers, and the children were elated. Baby girl got the $2 bonus, spending 60 cents less than her younger siblings. All 3 of them went to bed happy. Next time we'll talk about what happened as we found additional cash lurking in the house and how we started paying interest on their balances. Thank you for joining me for part 3 of Family Bank Blueprint, an author reading, and please like or subscribe. Appreciate you.